Welcome, everybody, to our energy prayer session on Skype Live Tuesdays. And my name is Jona Bryndis. I'm an energy healer, energy coach, and trainer. The background noises that you hear are crickets. I am sitting in my outdoor healing tent in the middle of nature, and it is late summer here in Florida. So we'll have the crickets chiming in with our energy prayer. Yeah, typically we start a prayer session with aligning ourselves to what it actually is that we want to pray for. Today, I would like to give you a few cues. And this has to do with understanding the bigger context. This kind of prayer that we're doing here is not the typical sort of religious kind of prayer. It's called energy prayer. It's non-denominational. It's addressing the higher power that brought you into existence. And with that said, it raises a bunch of questions for us, namely, well, what is that power that brought us into existence? And what am I? Who am I is a secondary question that has to do with you choosing whom you want to experience this life as. Yeah, your personality, if you will. But what am I relates directly to your existence, to what you are. Yeah? And of course, the first answer that comes to us is, I am human, right? Well, now a question for you. What does this mean? What does being human mean to you? Let's spend a few minutes on reflecting on that. We have our own being, our own essence here on one hand, and we have the power that brought us into existence on the other hand. For another, interacting with 3D is what human means. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? What do you mean with 3D? And why are you pointing out 3D? Isn't 3D all that we have?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, there's more than 3D. I'm sure of that. I don't know. It just came up as the first when you talked about it, because also when you are spiritual interested, and then 3D can easily be something you reject.
Okay.
I think.
So
For me, it's important to act in 3D with other people and the planet and so on. That's what I mean.
yes, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But I want to help you train your focus in that sense that you understand what you're expressing. Really, what you're saying is that you perceive being human as a twofold, yeah, or two different ways of understanding. Yeah, you understand yourself as a spiritually interested person. That was
Yes.
what you used as descriptor. In other
Yes.
words, someone who recognizes that there is some kind of spirit in you. There's an aspect of you that is a spirit being or an energetic being. And then we have, well, 3D. What is 3D? The material reality, right? It's what we experience sort of as this three-dimensional time and space that in the course of our life we walk through with a beginning and an end. This is really, really important to contemplate about, because anyone who has spiritual interest needs to realize that the moment you see yourself as a spirit being is also the moment that you accept that there is a part of you that might not be bound to 3D. And then that kicks in. Then you also understand that what you said, Annette, rejecting 3D is fundamentally one of these dualisms that we have to contend with as humans. We have to deal with the understanding that there is something like a spirit in us, regardless of how we define this, and that there is a 3D reality that kind of gives it a form that we have to work with, that we have to interact with. So this is what it means to be human, to straddle two worlds, to straddle the world of 3D reality, materialism, if you will, and the awareness, the consciousness that you are actually also a spirit being, an energetic being. This is extremely important because when you try to harmonize this within yourself, these dualities, you're going to have to become a little more aware of what you are focusing on when you are interacting. So for example, if I have a regular 9 to 5 or whatever kind of framework work, and I'm interacting with, the work that I do so that I can get paid, so that I can pay my bills, my house, my car, all these 3D aspects of life. Am I interacting with them as a spirit being, or am I interacting with them as a 3D being? We need to learn to discern this a little more, because a lot of us have an issue with harmonizing this. And when you think about where the majority of your problems arise, it has to do with the balance between the two. Yes, the optimal is both, and that's basically what we are striving for. But when it comes to questions of, let's say, how to make more money, or how to create better living conditions, to change your diet, or create new exercise routines, what part of you is dealing with questions about that? Which part of you is responsible, or, at least sort of focusing on these 3D matters? For the most part, it is your 3D being that does that. When it comes to happiness, love, peace, connection, which part of you is connecting with that? Which part of you is responsible for dealing with those aspects in life? Yes, the spiritual. This may seem like kindergarten when I lay it all out like this for you, but this is where majority of people have issues discerning that. And when we come together here, for example, for an energy prayer, when we take 20 minutes out of our day and we want to address something within this 3D day, this 3D schedule, what are we doing there? Yes, Cindy, we are harmonizing, we are anchoring, we are reminding ourselves of this other part. We're bringing it in. And that's extremely important to realize, because once you understand what the actual challenge is in times like this, you realize how essential it is to continually work on this harmonization between those two parts of you. Yes, to bridge the gap, because so many of us spiritually interested and spiritually seeking individuals, we struggle with this. We have a rational understanding of things, and we walk through our life with sort of the rationality of 3D, and we even have an intellectual understanding of what it means to be a spirit being. But where we run into issues with ourselves is when it comes to the translation, when it comes to connecting them both. Yeah, so for example, 3D reality would command you to, let's say, create as much material comfort as you can. Yeah, so that's the having, owning aspect of our life. And the ego that is kind of in charge of that 3D comfort says, obviously, the more, the better, the harder, the better. The problem with that is that for your spiritual self, more money or more food or more sex or more pleasure isn't really leading you to connecting with your spiritual self. And this is also why, churches and, traditional spiritual teachings have a lot of different disciplines, yeah, to learn that, it's not that simple. If you're only focusing on 3D, then you can optimize the aspects about, comfort and avoiding pain and so forth. But you're not really moving toward happiness or true connection. Those lay outside of the 3D command, if you will. And this is why we talk so much about our ego and the difficulties that come with our ego, because the ego really is just the king of 3D. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit simplified, but that's really, how you can see it. And the collective time that we experience here right now is very unique, because we are in the middle of, or in the midst of, a war over your ability to focus, to concentrate, to harmonize, to, understand what you are, what you think, what you feel, and what you choose. And without going into conspiracy with that, that's just a condition that we're having right now. It's never been harder than today, yeah, to actually remember that you are a spirit being. And you may say, well, maybe, 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, it was even harder because there was more physical, more 3D challenge. That is true, but not, because if you think back 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, spirituality had a lot bigger meaning to people. They may have not had the intellectual understanding of it, but it was a big part of their daily life. Yeah, even, in sort of indigenous kind of circumstances, where you look at the sky or you look at the animals and you take everything as an omen. All right, spirituality was a regular part of every person's understanding of life. And today we are in a place where these two parts of us seem to be separated and almost irreconcilable. And this is where the power of prayer comes in. Regardless of how you understand higher power, yeah, the power that brought you into existence, the power that fuels, the spirit being in you. Doesn't matter what religious or spiritual beliefs you have. The only prerequisite is that you actually recognize that there is a spirit being in you, a soul. And that you can have your own identity, your individualized soul self-awareness, or I am awareness, as we call that. That is, in essence, what it means to be human. We are the only species on the planet that can do that, that can witness their own spirit self. No other species can do that here in this 3D realm. Yeah? And with that, it is something to honor, something to celebrate, even if we are experiencing physical discomfort or fears of the future, or, still dealing with pains of the past. They are all part, obviously, of our, spiel here, yeah, what we have to contend with. And in the Sacreds of Healing course and all these other sessions and workshops that I offer, we go a little deeper into investigating, what it actually is that we need to do. But you guys got it. It's about bridging the gap. And this is the power of prayer. It's one of the simplest methodologies, if you will, to bridge this gap. The absolute simplest is breathing, conscious breathing. That's why yoga, for example, has such a high popularity, because it really helps people to connect with, that spirit being in them on the physical level. Prayer is a still simple but higher variation of it, where we are connecting with higher power through our consciousness. And in order to better harmonize it, I offer you this mini exercise right before we do the prayer, and that is to actually ground our body and our energy, to center ourselves and to sort of pre-clear ourselves a bit, get out of our heads. And if you just want to follow my example here before I start the prayer, then you might actually be able to experience this for yourself. So we begin the prayer session with grounding, and grounding is most easily done through your feet touching the ground. There's something extremely, like sort of solid about actually feeling your feet touching the ground. So we don't want to feel into the ground. We actually want to feel in the soles of our feet and that contact point, because right there is the physical bridge between the 3D being and the spirit being in us. So by closing your eyes and feeling into your feet, the soles of your feet, it works the best when you are barefoot and when your feet are actually touching the ground. You can feel your own solidity in a way. You can feel how your energy connects with the ground. So there is something here that helps us to release excess energies. And then the second step is to, focus on your breathing, to center your energies here in this, what we call heart chakra, the fourth chakra of your 7 physical chakras, through actually following your breath. And take a deep belly breath in. Hold it in your lungs. You can feel how, as you're holding it, your lungs expand, and then consciously breathe out. And this is energy lingo, breathe out sideways. Okay, so our mind sees the breath coming out forward, which isn't wrong in the physical sense, but in the energetic sense, our breath actually comes out of us, in all directions. So when you breathe in, you want to feel this coming in from below. And when you breathe out, you want to see yourself expand. And when you do this a few times, you will notice that your nervous system relaxes, that you become calmer. And the last step before we pray is the actual speeding up of your energy for the sake of clearing yourself. This is a very simple clearing. Yeah? Where do we all need the most clearing throughout the day? It's with our thoughts, okay? Because nowadays, most of the bombardment that we feel from the outside is around here, okay? So we take our hands that we're going to use for the prayer, regardless of how you do this, and we rub the palms of our hands against another until you can feel it heating up. And this is higher vibratory energy that you are creating, yeah, through your own volition, and you use this sped up energy, okay, to clear some thoughts. Even if this is kind of woo-woo for you, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can feel your warm hands. It's a very, very 3D experience. And this only takes a few seconds if you do this on your own. Obviously, when I have to explain it, it takes a little longer. But when we start the prayer itself now, that is dedicated to the higher power that resides in us, yeah, this spirit being, I'm going to turn myself off, and we can close our eyes and feel deep, deep into our spirit being, while simultaneously also feeling our warm hands and our grounded feet and our expanding breathing. Energy prayer. To the love and peace within, I dedicate myself. I am one with my higher self, the messenger of divine consciousness flowing through me, unchanging, eternal, and infinite. I recognize the presence of higher power expressed through me as a sacred life force and unconditional love. I want to remember this, even when I have become unconscious and asleep. I dedicate this sacred self moment to honor the power that protects and guides me, and that helps me to feel my higher power as grace in my heart. Grace, for thee I thirst. Into thy hands I commit my life, my body, mind, and spirit, heart and soul, and all error perceptions thereof. Thy will is my will. Thy will be done through me. Heal me at depth. Reveal all that needs to be revealed. and heal all that needs to be healed, so I can glorify you, God I am, and live in the consciousness of grace, now and at all times. Thank you. And during this prayer, you can use the few minutes without me saying the prayer to remind yourself what you want to pray for this day, and actively realign yourself to your higher self, to the higher power in you. That's what the energy prayers are for. Thank you guys for coming, for witnessing your own spirit being, for sharing, for being here and creating this beautiful network, this grid of higher vibratory energy for the entire planet and collective. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. Share this free session with others. Let other people have their own inner experience of their higher power. The more, the faster. All right. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.